Well, it's Bertie Lavorne. This is the Faith League podcast, and it is February the 8th, 2019. I haven't made a podcast in a couple of weeks, several weeks, but I had some technical difficulties. We'll just say that. And we had this polar vortex, and that sent me in for a loop. So, pardon me. But let's go to this country living small, tiny house living story. So, there's a lot of wind where I live. The wind, if it's going to be windy, it's going to be 20-mile-an-hour winds. We don't usually have 5-mile-an-hour winds, nor do we have 15-mile-an-hour winds. We have 20 to 25-mile-an-hour winds. And when I was living down south, I had this massive set of wind chimes that I was gifted back in like 2007. So they've been up for a while. They were up for a long time in my old house. And, they never really got an opportunity to sing because, I guess there just wasn't that much wind. So if they did start singing, I knew it had to be really pretty bad outside. And they were kind of like near my bedroom doors or my bedroom windows so I could hear them. But here, they blow constantly. And it's beautiful. Yes, it's beautiful. But I think I have it like tapped into like my cellular level that when these wind chimes blow, it must be really bad outside. So psychologically, I'm kind of always thinking it's really bad outside. Anyway, it's just something you got to work through, right? Or take them down. I could simply take them down, but they do cling and clank and have just some beautiful, beautiful stories to tell. But all's going well. Tiny house living. Year, I'm about to head into year 2. And if anyone doesn't know, I live in a 50-year-old Airstream, 27-foot Airstream. That is my tiny house. And this little guy, he's probably traveled the entire United States a couple of times. And he's got some cracks and some leaks and definitely some problems with wind blowing. Like my prayer flags inside of my Airstream, on some days they actually start blowing on their own. But we had this polar vortex last week, and it was cold. It was so cold that you couldn't really stay outside for very long at all. I think the wind chill got it down to like -9 or something like that, -11. Not as cold as Minneapolis, of course, but hey, I don't live in Minneapolis. So we got the wind blowing 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour. We've got -9 wind chill. And I think outside it said at one point it felt like it was like -20. So my very drafty little tin can that I live in, the wind was blowing and the dog's bowl, water bowl was frozen solid. And I was bound and determined to stay out and not seek the comforts of a home that has heat. Because my dogs feel really comfortable in the Airstream. And for some reason, they just like to stay here. So I just mustered everything that I could pull out of me. And last year at Aldi, of all places, I found a sleeping bag suit that has arms and legs and a hat. And so I thought to myself when I bought it, I was like, all right, I'm going to try to wrestle through this winter and not have to go inside ever, this whole entire winter. So, wind's blowing, go back to that. Wind's blowing, polar vortex going down. Dog's water bowl is solid ice. The floor is so cold when your feet hit it. It just like sends splinters through your body. But making story shorter, I managed somehow to stay in the Airstream that night and the nights thereafter. So I made it. And I was really pretty proud of myself. I mean, I was slightly miserable, yes. I really was miserable because it was cold and my nose was cold and the wind was kind of blowing through the Airstream. The dogs were warm because they were under the covers, and I thought to myself, this is definitely the, meaning of a 3-dog night, because I had 3 dogs sleeping with me. So, the point of the story, the big point of this podcast today is that the people that I work for in this little coffee shop in this quaint little village, they are very concerned about me. They do not understand me whatsoever. They almost lost their minds when I went from an iPhone to a flip phone, and they can no longer text me. They just don't, they don't understand me. They don't understand what I'm trying to do here. I don't even think I do. But today, they're precious because they were telling me we have another cold snap coming. And they offered up to me this area that's above our coffee shop and our theater. They offered up a little room and a nice hot shower. And it has a toilet. And I thought to myself, when the owner asked me, he's like, "What are you doing?" And I looked at him because I have a lot of respect for him. I looked at him and I said, it's a test of endurance. And that's what this is. It's like rejection of comfort that I had taken for granted for so very long. I rejected being comfortable. I don't think it's like self-mutilation or anything like that, like kind of crazy psychology, torturing yourself. I don't think it's that. I think I'm trying to pull something out of me that just kind of my self-awareness of me. And this is the way that I chose to kind of explore that, is to tote water and to live small and to endure freezing cold temperatures when I don't have to. I know I don't have to. I have many friends and family, and I have places where I can go to stay warm and comfortable and be. But it's a different journey. It's just something that I guess I got to go through. So, yeah, that's my podcast today. I was going to start talking a lot about Abraham Maslow and the self-realization stuff, but I think I'll save that for another day. And I'll have to tell you about the wacky juggler that started showing up at the coffee shop. Anyway, all my love. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Later.